So it's not just about like being strong or having willpower.
No, it goes so much deeper than that.
It's like actual changes in our brain chemistry.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this journey so complex. And that's why approaching this with compassion is so important.
Yeah.
Which is something that Violet Spring really emphasizes in the article. And that's why these mind-body techniques are so important. It's about working with our bodies and minds, not against them.
Right.
Hello, Holistic Heroes. Welcome to the channel, and welcome to this week's episode of the Holistic Living for Body, Mind, and Spirit podcast, courtesy of Violet Spring.
Hey everyone, and welcome to our deep dive today.
Yeah.
Where we're going to be talking about something that affects, I think, probably most of us, if not all of us.
Oh, definitely.
And that's emotional eating.
Absolutely.
And, you know, we've all been there, right? Like,
yes.
When stress hits or emotions are high, we reach for that comfort food.
Oh, for sure.
But what happens when that comfort food, you know, becomes more than just an occasional thing?
Right.
What happens when it becomes a pattern, a way of coping?
Yeah.
And maybe it's not serving us in the long run.
Exactly. And that's what we're going to really get into today.
Yeah.
We're going to use this article by Violet Spring called Breaking the Cycle, How to Overcome Overeating with Mind-Body Techniques.
Oh, okay, great.
And really what we're hoping to do today is not talk about like another diet or anything.
Right.
But really look at this as like changing your lifestyle, developing a healthier relationship with food.
I love a new way of eating.
Yeah.
Feels so much better than diet.
Right.
I think one of the things that the article really does a good job of is talking about this mind-body connection.
Oh, absolutely.
When it comes to food.
Yes.
It's not just about willpower.
Right.
You know, there's some real science at play here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. When we're under stress, our body releases these hormones like cortisol,
right,
which can trigger cravings for sugary, fatty comfort foods.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of like this primal instinct, you know? Back in the day, if you were running from a saber-toothed tiger, you would need that energy boost.
Yeah.
But, you know, these days, it's not just a saber-toothed tiger.
Right.
It's work and relationships and traffic.
It's constant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's like chronic stress.
Right.
So those cravings become like a constant cycle, and they can actually become hardwired into our brains.
Wow.
Yeah.
And, you know, I was thinking about that when I was reading the article, like our bodies and our minds are so connected.
Yeah.
And the article even mentions research showing that this constant stress response and the emotional eating that comes with it can actually like rewire the brain's reward circuits.
Yeah.
So it's not just about like being strong or having willpower.
No, it goes so much deeper than that.
It's like actual changes in our brain chemistry.
Absolutely. And that's what makes this journey so complex. And that's why approaching this with compassion is so important.
Yeah.
Which is something that Violet Spring really emphasizes in the article. And that's why these mind-body techniques are so important. It's about working with our bodies and minds, not against them.
Right.
And the article lists some really interesting signs that we might be engaging in emotional eating.
Right.
Recognizing these signs in ourselves is like a powerful first step.
Yeah, I think we're all going to have those aha moments.
Yeah.
As we explore some of these signs.
For sure.
One that really resonated with me is this idea of sudden hunger.
Oh, yeah.
You know, 1 minute you're fine, and then the next minute, you need that comfort food.
You need it now.
And you need it now.
Yes. And it's that urgency that's really key because it's so different from that gradual physical hunger that tells you that you need to eat a nourishing meal.
Right.
This sudden hunger is very often tied to a specific craving.
Right.
And it's usually not a craving for like broccoli and chicken breast.
No, it's not.
It's those hyperpalatable foods, you know, the ones loaded with sugar, fat, and salt.
Oh yeah, they just hit the spot.
They really do. And it's because they trigger all those feel-good chemicals in the brain.
Right.
Which is why we keep going back for more.
And sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it.
Oh, yeah.
The article mentions mindless eating.
Oh, yeah.
Which I think we've all probably done at some point.
Absolutely.
You know, your hand just has a mind of its own. You're shoveling chips into your mouth.
The whole bag.
While you're watching TV.
Yeah, exactly.
And then it's gone.
You're like, wait, where'd it go?
Where'd it go?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it just shows that disconnect between our physical needs and our emotional state.
Right.
Another sign is eating in response to a specific feeling.
Okay.
Loneliness, boredom, anxiety, all of those can trigger emotional eating.
It's almost like food becomes the solution to a problem.
It does. It becomes like this automatic response,
Yeah.
like a Band-Aid for a deeper emotional wound.
Yeah. But as we're learning, it's not a sustainable solution.
No, not at all.
So now that we're starting to understand some of these signs,
Yeah.
what can we do about it?
Right.
What are some of the tools and techniques that we can use to kind of break free from this cycle
Yeah.
and create this new, healthier way of eating?
Well, that's where those mind-body techniques that Violet Spring highlights come in.
Okay.
And one of the most powerful ones is mindful eating.
Okay.
And it's not about deprivation or strict rules or anything. It's
Yeah.
about shifting our focus to the experience of eating.
Okay, so how do we do that?
Well, it's about slowing down,
Yeah.
savoring each bite, really engaging all of our senses.
Mhm.
Instead of just consuming food, we're invited to truly taste it,
Right.
to notice the textures and the aromas. Right. Be present in the moment with our meal.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know, the article gives some really practical tips
Yeah.
for doing that.
Yeah, like what?
Like simple things like taking a moment to really look at your food
Yeah.
before you even start eating.
Yeah, just observe it.
Put your fork down between bites.
Yeah.
Chew your food thoroughly.
Yeah.
It's like you're rediscovering the pleasure of eating.
It really is. And that rediscovery can be incredibly powerful because
Yeah.
it helps us reconnect with our bodies
Mhm.
and listen to those internal cues of hunger and fullness, which
Yeah.
is something that we've kind of lost touch with.
So from that place of awareness, then we can start to make more conscious choices about
Absolutely.
what and how we eat.
Exactly.
But mindful eating is just one piece of the puzzle, right?
It is.
What other techniques does Violet Spring talk about?
Another key technique she emphasizes is emotional awareness.
Okay.
And again, this isn't about judging ourselves for our emotions, but about approaching them with a sense of curiosity.
Oh, I like that curiosity instead of judgment.
Yes, exactly.
Because I think a lot of times we're not even aware of the emotions that are driving those food choices.
we're not, it's just like an automatic reaction.
Yeah, we just react.
Yeah.
We reach for that comfort food, and we don't really even understand why.
Exactly. And so emotional awareness asks us to pause
Okay.
and ask ourselves, am I truly hungry right now?
Okay.
Or is there something else going on?
Right.
Am I feeling stressed, lonely, bored?
That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, that simple question can be so insightful.
Yeah.
And the article suggests keeping a food emotion journal,
Oh, yeah.
which I think is such a great tool
Yeah.
for bringing those patterns to light.
It's like you become a detective of your own habits.
Exactly. You start to see those connections that you maybe weren't aware of before.
Yeah.
And then as we become more aware of those patterns, we can start to develop other coping mechanisms. Instead of automatically reaching for that bag of chicks when we're feeling down, maybe we call a friend or go for a walk or listen to music.
Right.
Anything that helps us process those emotions in a healthier way.
So it's about having options.
Exactly.
So that when those difficult emotions do come up,
Yeah,
you don't just automatically go for the food.
a cookie jar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's not just about what we do in those moments, right?
That's not.
Violet Spring also talks about creating a supportive environment
Yes.
for change.
Absolutely.
Like a space where those healthier habits can thrive.
Exactly.
Right.
Our environment can have such a huge impact on our eating habits.
Right.
If your kitchen is stocked with all kinds of tempting processed snacks,
Oh, yeah.
it's gonna be that much harder to resist them when those cravings hit.
So set yourself up for success.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So one of her suggestions is to create a peaceful eating space, free from distractions, so
Oh.
you can really focus on your meal.
Yeah, it's like you're designing an environment that supports your intentions.
Exactly.
Instead of just relying on willpower.
Right, because willpower can be fleeting,
Yeah.
but if you set yourself up in an environment that encourages mindful eating,
Right.
it becomes so much easier.
And she also suggests establishing regular meal times.
Yes, our bodies thrive on routine,
Hmm.
and when we have consistent meal patterns, our hunger hormones stay balanced.
Okay.
So we're less likely to eat out of emotional need.
So it's like creating a rhythm for your body.
It
Yeah.
is a gentle structure that helps us stay grounded
Okay.
and make more conscious choices.
But it doesn't have to be rigid or restricted.
No, not at all.
Right.
It's about finding what works for you
Yeah.
and your individual needs and lifestyle.
I like that. And Violet Spring also talks about the power of rituals around food.
Oh, yes.
Um,
Like what?
Like setting the table with your favorite placemat or taking a moment to express gratitude before you start eating. You know, these little rituals that can really elevate the whole experience.
They can, and they help us savor those moments of connection
Yeah.
with ourselves and our food.
And it really transforms eating from just a mindless act to A mindful ritual.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And speaking of mindfulness, there's another technique in the article that I think is really interesting, which is holistic strategies.
Okay.
It's about looking at the bigger picture beyond just food choices.
Okay, so what does that look like?
Well, it's about recognizing that our well-being is interconnected.
Okay.
Our mind, body, and emotions all play a role.
Yeah.
So instead of just focusing on the food itself, we explore a range of practices that nurture our overall well-being.
I'm really intrigued by this.
Yeah.
Can you give me some examples?
Well, things like breath work and movement.
Okay.
Deep breathing exercises can be so effective for calming the nervous system and reducing stress.
Which we talked about before.
Exactly, which can be a major trigger for emotional eating. And movement therapy, whether it's gentle yoga or a brisk walk or even dancing, can help us process emotions, release pent-up energy.
I love that it's not about punishment or pushing yourself to the limit.
It's about finding movement that feels good and supports our emotional and physical well-being.
And the article also mentions herbal support.
It does,
And, you know, I'm a big believer in the power of plants.
Me too.
So I'm curious, what herbs does Violet Spring recommend?
Well, she highlights herbs like chamomile and lavender, which are known for their calming and soothing properties. So incorporating herbal teas or aromatherapy can be a gentle way to support our nervous system and cultivate a sense of calm.
And of course, we can't forget about sleep.
Oh, sleep is so important.
Yes, it is.
It's crucial for regulating our hormones, including those that control hunger and satiety. So when we're sleep deprived, we're much more susceptible to cravings.
Makes sense.
And impulsive choices.
Yeah, you just don't think as clearly.
You don't.
Yeah.
So prioritizing quality sleep is a key part of this holistic approach.
It's like laying the foundation for everything else.
It really is. Yeah. When we're well rested, we're better equipped to handle challenges, make mindful choices, and cultivate that more balanced relationship with food.
And it's not just about individual practices, right? It's also about building that supportive environment for change.
It is, and that includes seeking out support from others.
Oh yeah, having that sense of community can make such a difference.
Absolutely.
You know, just knowing that you're not alone on this journey, that there are other people who understand and can offer encouragement and accountability.
Exactly. And Violet Spring really emphasizes the importance of self-compassion throughout this process.
Oh, that's so important.
It is. She reminds us that this is a journey, not a destination, and there will be bumps along the way. It's okay to slip up.
Yeah.
The key is to learn from those experiences and keep moving forward.
I love that message of self-compassion.
It's so important.
Yeah.
It's about treating ourselves with kindness and understanding.
Right.
Recognizing that we're all works in progress.
We are.
Yeah.
And when you approach it with that sense of kindness and understanding, it just kind of takes the pressure off a little bit.
It does.
Doesn't it?
It allows us to be more curious, more experimental, even playful.
Yeah.
It's about shifting away from that all-or-nothing mentality and embracing the journey, knowing that every step we take towards a healthier relationship with food is a step worth celebrating.
I love that.
And remember, this is a lifelong journey.
Yeah.
It's not about reaching a destination and then being done.
Right.
It's about continuously learning, growing, and evolving in our relationship with food.
And it's not just about the food.
It's not.
It's about our overall well-being.
Exactly.
Mental, emotional, physical.
It's all interconnected.
Yeah. And that's such a powerful reminder.
It is.
As we kind of wrap up this first part of our deep dive, I want to leave you with a thought.
Okay.
Violet Spring talks a lot about self-compassion.
Yes.
So what is one small act of kindness you can show yourself today?
Ooh.
Related to food or otherwise?
Maybe it's taking a few minutes to savor your next meal without distractions. Or preparing yourself a nourishing and delicious meal.
Yeah.
Or simply acknowledging your feelings without judgment.
I love that.
Yeah. It's those small acts of kindness that can make such a big difference in our journey towards a healthier, happier relationship with ourselves and with food.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really is about those small, consistent steps, you know?
Yeah. And one of the most powerful things we can do, I think, is shift our perspective away from dieting.
Right.
And embrace this new way of eating.
Exactly.
And again, the article's not about restriction or deprivation.
No.
It's about cultivating a way of relating to food that nourishes us on all levels.
On every level.
Physically, emotionally, even spiritually.
Absolutely. And that nourishment starts with awareness.
Yeah.
As we become more attuned to our bodies and our emotions, we start to understand the underlying reasons why we reach for certain foods in certain situations.
The why behind it.
Yeah, we start to see the patterns, the triggers, the habitual responses.
And then from that place of awareness, we can start to make more conscious choices.
Exactly. We can pause before we grab that bag of chips and ask ourselves, am I truly hungry right now, or am I trying to soothe a feeling?
That's a great question.
And it's about bringing that mindfulness into our daily lives, not just at meal times.
Right.
It's about noticing how our emotions fluctuate throughout the day, how certain situations or interactions might trigger those cravings.
Yeah.
And that's where that food emotion journal can be so helpful.
Oh yeah, I was going to mention that. I think that's such a helpful tool.
It is.
To really bring those patterns to light.
Yeah, you become like a detective, uncovering the clues to your own unique patterns.
Exactly.
You know? And you might notice, for instance, that you tend to reach for sugary snacks after a stressful meeting at work.
Oh, yeah.
Or that you crave comfort food when you're feeling lonely.
And as we become more aware of those patterns, then we can start to develop some alternative coping mechanisms.
Exactly.
Instead of automatically reaching for the ice cream when we're feeling down, we might try calling a friend, going for a walk.
Yes.
Maybe engaging in a creative activity.
It's about expanding our repertoire of responses.
Yeah.
Building that toolbox of healthy ways to cope
with those difficult emotions.
And being kind to ourselves throughout the process.
Oh, self-compassion is essential.
It is.
You know, this is not about striving for perfection or beating ourselves up when we slip up.
We all do it.
We do.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that we're human. We're learning.
We're works in progress.
Yeah, we are. And we're doing the best we can with the tools we have.
And when we approach this journey with that sense of kindness and understanding, it just takes the pressure off.
It does.
It lets us be more curious, more experimental.
Absolutely.
More playful.
It's about shifting away from that all or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
And embracing the journey, knowing that every step we take towards a healthier relationship with food is a step worth celebrating.
I love that.
And remember, this is a lifelong journey. It's not about reaching a destination and then being done. It's about continuously learning, growing, and evolving in our relationship with food.
And it's not just about food.
It's not.
Think about our overall well-being.
Exactly.
Mental, emotional, physical.
All interconnected.
And as we cultivate that healthier relationship with food, we often find that other areas of our lives start to blossom as well.
That's so true.
Yeah.
When we nourish ourselves with healthy food, with mindful practices,
and self-compassion, we create this ripple effect that extends to all areas of our lives.
I love that.
We have more energy, we feel more balanced, we're more resilient in the face of challenges.
It's like we're creating this virtuous cycle.
We are.
Where one positive change leads to another.
Absolutely.
And, you know, as we're getting ready to wrap up this part of our deep dive, I want to leave our listeners with another thought to ponder.
Okay.
Violet Spring talks a lot about self-compassion.
Yes.
What's one small act of kindness that you can show yourself today, related to food or otherwise?
Maybe taking a few minutes to savor your next meal without distractions. Maybe it's preparing yourself a nourishing and delicious meal. Or simply acknowledging your feelings without judgment.
That's so important.
It is. It's those small acts of kindness that can make such a big difference in our journey towards a healthier, happier relationship with ourselves and food.
It's really inspiring to think about, you know,
those ripple effects, those positive changes that start to happen when we start to prioritize our well-being.
Absolutely.
And I think that's a great note to end on.
I agree.
So as we wrap up our deep dive today into emotional eating, I want to leave our listeners with one final thought to ponder. Violet Spring's article, you know, emphasizes self-compassion throughout this process.
Absolutely.
What's one small act of kindness that you can show yourself today, related to food or otherwise?
Maybe taking a few minutes to really savor your next meal without distractions. Maybe it's preparing yourself a nourishing and delicious meal. Or simply acknowledging your feelings without judgment.
I love that.
Yeah, it's the small, consistent acts of kindness that create lasting change.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Into emotional eating. We hope you found it insightful and empowering.
I hope so too.
And maybe even a little bit liberating.
I will.
And just remember, you are not alone on this journey.
We're all in this together.
Keep exploring, keep experimenting, and keep believing in your ability to create a healthier, happier relationship with food.
Yes.
We'll see you next time for another deep dive.
Bye, everyone.
Be sure to check the description below for all the goods on this week's topic. And remember, being your own holistic hero is easy. Just like and subscribe to join the journey. Thanks for watching.